drivers got stuck in the traffic on the M6 heading up earlier today as well. So Workington with the first set, and finally we have action. But as you said, Dave, for me, Workington have to start really, really brightly.
Yeah, they do. They have to start really well with the ball in hand, but then defensively they need to get their line spread really quick and get in the faces of the big Toronto forwards and cut down their options.
Well, that's Phil Joseph, much travelled. He was one of the late arrivals. Workington, who have a 5-5 record in a four-way fight to get into the top 8. Here's Doran with a little handoff for Brett Phillips, loyal servant Phillips, Scottish international here at Derwent Park, already on the last, and well, it'll be booted downfield by Stuart Howarth. Stuart Howarth, the hooker of Workington. He was the last man here after getting stuck in all that traffic. But a good kick and chase and a decent first set from the part-timers against the professionals.
Yeah, it was. You know, they just looked a little bit unsteady early on in the tackle count, but then really got amongst it, carried the ball forward, and then a good kick from Howarth. And their first couple of contacts have been really good. They've really rattled the big Toronto pack.
Yeah. That's what's called in rugby league of getting in their faces, isn't it? Emmett it was who was brought down, and here was Bussey nearly up to halfway. Quick play the ball, going out to the left-hand side, and QLT sets up the chance. This could be the first try maybe for Burrows inside. The try will be disallowed. Greg Worthington thought he scored, but the referee calling it up for a forward pass. Great move out onto the left-hand side. Burrows it was down the left. But the forward pass, and Worthington, a hat-trick scorer for the Wolfpack a week ago, brought back. Correct decision.
Yeah, very good decision. The referee was right in line with it there, and touch judge also in line with it. But that's what Toronto can do. They just shifted the ball wide, and it was very good play from the halves to get it out wide, and just unfortunately a forward pass.
And a penalty to Workington. The reason for that is that the Wolfpack left the scrum, didn't pack down correctly. And the first penalty goes to the home side. Kicked down by field by Jamie Doran. 0-0. But decent start from the home side, certainly in these early stages, and not afraid to get the ball away. And that's good play from Doran, the former Wigan man. Brought down just on halfway. And here's Mossop. Yeah, the half-back partnership of Workington, Doran and Carl Forber have caused a lot of sides many problems so far this season. Here's Tom Kerwin. Kerwin bundled to the ground. Howarth at dummy half. Penalty, interference at the play of the ball. Bussey and Emmett and Fleming, the guilty parties. So that means that it will be a penalty. Surely they will have a go for a try and try and get a roll on here, Dave. But impressed with Workington's thus far.
Yeah, definitely, and that's probably been one of Toronto's biggest problems this year so far. Their discipline, that's been very poor and given away a lot of penalties, so they need to smarten that up. But first opportunity goes to Workington to see if they can rack some points up.
Yep, Singleton it is, who's brought down right in front of the post, 20 out. Howarth goes to the left-hand side, the little drop-off pass. First real test of the Wolfpack defence this afternoon. Here is Forber. Forber with a little dummy. Carl Forber all well wrapped up there. Good tackle. Had to be as well. Dangerous with ball in hand, Carl Forber. Doran on the charge for Workington. Great run from Brett Phillips. Again, just short. Howarth at dummy half. They go to the right-hand side. Here's Doran and Forber. Forber, a little drop off there for Phil Joseph. Joseph on the charge. Get the ball out. Just short of the line on the last. What can Workington do? Doran it is. Doran with a little chip through. Can he reach the ball? It just goes dead. Well, great chance for Workington to put points on the ball. The Wolfpack keep them out.
Some really good play from the Workington side there. They looked like they were going to go through. A good offload from Joseph, and they were just pulled up short from a great tackle from Dan Fleming. And then Doran, they shut up real quick on his outside. So he put the little grubber in, but unfortunately it's very small in goal areas here at Derwent Park, and it just ran dead.
Bright start from Workington. And coach Dave Clark will be delighted. Dave Clark, former grand final winner with Barrow as a coach, in good company alongside my friend Dave Woods here in the commentary box. And Jack Bussey making good ground for the Wolfpack. It's a great quick play the ball. Always dangerous, always good run from Bob Bezic. Even though in League One, for me, Bob Bezic's still one of the best in the business, you know, a canny, old-style hooker, isn't he? But they make good yardage here at the Wolfpack, 0-0, but a great start. Here's Emmett, another forward pass, and another error from the Wolfpack. The referee right on the spot. No real arguments from the Wolfpack players either.
No, Jack Bussey's complaining about being held down earlier with the tackle, but he got a really good quick play of the ball, and like you said, Bezic, he's very good out of dummy half. If he sees you lazy around that middle of the ruck there, he'll just go and he makes plenty of yards. But again, this is that discipline we speak about with Toronto, you know, just trying to overplay their hand a little bit. They need to be a little bit better with it.
So 0-0, but really enjoying this here at Derwent Park. Workington relegated from the Championship. It's a big blow for them, but trying to rebuild and start from the lower levels. Workington Town, a famous name, and that looked forward as well, and it was forward. Stuart Howarth with the pass, and an error, costly error it may be for Workington Town, but we've had 3 forward passes, one denying a try from Toronto, and you have to say the referee Greg Dolan has got them all right. Yeah,
well, that one certainly, that was a metre forward, but he had to jump around. There was a Toronto player in his way, and they had to jump around the outside of him. We just got a little bit of a break at the moment with the Toronto half, number 7 Jack's just getting a little bit of attention, but they're going to form the scrum, and this is an opportunity now for the Toronto side. They're on halfway, their feed, a little bit of push and shove. I noticed Bailey a minute ago just giving it to Howard
and Phil Joseph.
The forward pass.
They won't take a backward step. Bailey and Joseph, old adversaries, aren't they? Of course, Phil Joseph has played in Super League. Played at Widnes latterly, Ryan Bailey at Leeds and Warrington, of course. So that will be an interesting battle as the afternoon goes on between Joseph and Bailey.
It will. Well, Bailey gave it to Howarth about the forward pass, and Howarth gave him a bit of push, and I think it just, as they were coming down in the scrum, I think Joseph was sticking up for his travelling partner. He's just spent 5 hours in the car with him, so he knows him very well, and he'll be looking after him, and Bailey's now being called out by the referee, and it will erupt. It will erupt at some stage during the day, I've got no doubt.
Yeah, Bailey and Joseph. Just keep an eye on those two. They're certainly not shy, let's say.
No, they like to mix it up, and they're 2 big men. You wouldn't want to be in the middle of both of them, but they're 2 big men that'll, they don't take a backward step. They want to go forward, and they want to prove who's the best out there, and it'll be an interesting contest.
So 0-0, and really enjoyable thus far. Here is Greg Worthington for the Wolfpack, brought down. Pownell at dummy half, goes on his own. Crunching tackle from Joseph and Brett Phillips. Here is Jake Emmett. Good run from the big forward. Bezic ready to set up play from dummy half, and good play from Briley, trying to find QLT. Playing in the centres today. Briley at dummy half, and here's Bailey. Where's Phil Joseph? He won't be far away, that's for sure. 0-0, last tackle play. Briley it is. Jack switches the play, and Briley gets it out to QLT. That's a terrific ball, and that should be the first try from Johnny Pownell in the corner. It's taken them nearly 10 minutes, but Toronto hit the front. Pownell with the try. Quick hands, and Workington caught cold on the blind side. Pownell with the try for the Wolfpack.
Well, that's what they can do to you, the Toronto side. They went to the left, and it was a great pass back to Jack's. Brearley picked up the ball, QLT, and then a great cutout ball out wide to Pownell to put the ball down over the side, over the try line there. And they'll do that to you all day if they're allowed to play a little bit. So the line speed from Workington needs to be better than that. They need to be marking up a little bit more. Just because they go to one side doesn't mean that that's the way they're going to keep going.
Well, the try, of course, coming from the error, the forward pass from Stuart Howarth. Hot day, plenty of water on board. 22, 23 degrees, I reckon. The latest temperature just before kickoff here in Workington. Lovely, pleasant day. Perfect conditions for rugby league. And here he is, the Wolfpack captain. Still one of the best in the business with the boots, as he managed to drift it in just to the right of the stick. So 4-0 it is. Craig Hall with a rare miss, but there is Pownell, Johnny Pownell with the first try. And it was good. There was a switch play involved, wasn't there? Jacks and Briley. It was one off the training ground. QLT with a long pass, and from the moment that Pownell took the ball, there was never really any doubt. 4-0.
Yeah, he's very good on his feet, Pownell, and that close to the line, he just put some good footwork on and did a good job to score the try. So again, you know, the Toronto side now bringing the ball back from kickoff. They'll want a good set from this one.
Yeah, former Castleford, Gateshead, York, Whitehaven coach Dave Woods, our special guest summariser this afternoon here at Derwent Park. And here is Emmett. Good strong tackle there from Howarth. Oh, ball out the back door. That was for QLT. Just to let you know, by the way, as Toronto have lost their standoff, Rhys Jacks. He's gone off injured. He was injured. It looked like a groin injury a little while ago, but Rhys Jacks is now off the field. Nigel Wood, the Rugby League Chief Executive Officer, we asked him if he would do us a quick little interview about the shambles of the delayed kickoff by over 2.25 hours. He politely declined. Here come Workington. 4-0 down, looking to get back into the game with Jamie Doran. Does well. Puts themselves well so far. There is Phil Joseph. Workington is his 10th club, Phil Joseph, of a career that spanned nearly 15 years. Good kick to the corner there, but the take from Pownell, easy take as well. 4-0 it remains. Probably not the best last tackle play.
Yeah, it wasn't the best play there, but the Toronto side were all offside, and the referee called them back. But because they didn't interfere with the play, he didn't penalise them, where to me, you know, it puts the kicker off a little bit because he sees them coming. So probably should have been a penalty to the Workington team for offside, but he's allowed it to play on. Toronto now bringing the ball out of their backfield.
Yeah, to be fair, he's tried to let the game flow, hasn't he, the referee, Doran? And here is Ryan Briley. Short pass, that might have been given forward as well to Richard Whiting. On the last, ball comes to Briley with a little kick downfield. Sean Penkovic, by the way, is the man who's replaced the injured Rhys Jacks for the Wolfpack. Ryan Briley, who will be involved in everything that the Wolfpack do with ball in hand. Incredibly, Briley has scored in every single match he's played for the Wolfpack. 6 games, 9 tries, Ryan Briley. Will he maintain that record here today? We shall see. But the injury to Rhys Jacks, a blow certainly for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, well, he got it early on, and he played on. He was treated by the physio, and then when he passed that last ball a few minutes ago, he immediately ran to the sideline, limping and holding the left groin. So I'd say it'd be a groin injury on his left leg or something around there.
Second penalty of the game to the home side. Yeah, fair to say that Rhys Jacks won't be coming back on the field. If the groin's gone, that's it, isn't it? So 2 penalties for Workington, the only 2 penalties of the game so far. Rhys Jacks shaking his head in disappointment. Hamstring injury, we think. I don't think Rhys Jacks, if it is hamstring or groin, he won't be coming back onto the field of play today. There's Forber and Kerwin for Workington. Coming up for 15 minutes gone in the first half here at Derwent Park. Good ball to the left for Brett Phillips. What a good player Phillips is. And Scottish international will be going to the World Cup at the end of the year as well. Good play. That was Forber with the pass to Joseph. Managed to get the ball away just in time before he was clobbered to the ground by Jack Bussey. Here comes Doran now. A chance on this left-hand side. Muse kept inside for Workington on the last. 4-0 it is. Toronto's defence has been excellent so far this season. They made a bit of a mess there of the play. The ball kicked through by the captain. And the referee will say that was a knock-on in the end, I think, by Jason Mossop. So, yeah, we talked about Toronto's attacking prowess, Dave. They've averaged around about 60 points a game in their 10 games so far in League One, and they conceded an average of only 8 points a game.
Yeah, their defence is very good, but their attack is exceptional.
Well, here they go again. There's got a Burrows down the left-hand side. This time the pass isn't forward, and this time it will be an easy try for Greg Worthington. Terrific play. That's how they can strike. We saw that combination earlier on. Ryan Burrows and then Worthington with the score, but it was ruled out for a forward pass. Right on cue, they're talking about their attacking skills, but a great break down the left-hand side.
Yeah, it certainly was. Look, they've got a lot of smart players. You know, they got 3 players that can play in the dummy half area, and we're bringing Penkovic on, and they've got a smart one in there anyway in Bezic, and they just pick your numbers for you. And he jumped down the short side, picked up Burrows, who had Worthington on the inside, who can score tries just for fun, and they've gone 90-odd metres there to score that one, and you know, a lot of attacking potential in this side.
Well, a hat-trick last week against the Iron Men, Greg Worthington, and here Ryan Hall, who has averaged 20 points a game himself. And there goes the kick, and that extends the lead to 10 points to 0.
Well, it's a good start from them. You know, they've defended very well when they've been asked some questions from the Workington team, and they've attacked very well, both from a distance and from close by. So, you know, this one here is going to be another important set for them. They'll just want to keep playing with the ball in hand.
So there we have it, 10-0 to the Wolfpack. Tries from Pownell and Worthington. And, well, I'll tell you what, let's go pitch side and have a word with Aaron.
Thanks, guys. Just had a word with the Toronto bench, and assistant coach Simon Finnegan can confirm it is a hamstring with Rhys Jacks. Jacks doesn't want to leave the game, but they're having a close look at him now. They're not sure at this point if he will be back or not.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. We'll keep you right up to date with that. But enjoying this, finally, 2 hours and 20 minutes later after the scheduled kickoff time. But it's a good game, and you feel that perhaps Toronto are starting to flex their muscles, as Briley finds QLT, and now Powell down this right-hand side. Brilliant tackle from Mossop. Great tackle there from Jason Mossop, the Workington captain. In his testimonial year, 10 years here at Derwent Park, a loyal servant of this club. Cracking tackle to save what probably would have been a try.
It was. He's probably an unsung hero, Jason Mossop. He doesn't get a lot of raps, but he certainly does do a lot of good work for the Workington side. And it was the young winger there, Muse, who just went in again, and he's got to learn to stay on his sideline there. You know, and Pownell will lead him up all day with the quickness that he's got. So good cover work from Mossop to get across there and take him out.
We're approaching the midway point in the first half. You feel that really Workington have to score next. Here's Phil Joseph. Phil Joseph, one of the Workington players who was stuck in that horrendous traffic jam on the M6, which delayed the kickoff. The run forward from Connor Fitzsimmons. On off the bench. Here's Howarth. And another bit of injury news, because Town have lost their leading try scorer, Joe Hambley, with a groin injury, and that won't help. 10 tries this season for Hambley, but he has gone off with a groin injury. On the last, Doran it is with the kick downfield. Yeah, interesting. We've had 2 muscle injuries, a hamstring and a groin injury, one to either side. Jacks for Toronto and Hambley for Workington in the first 20 minutes, Dave.
Yeah, well, that does happen, you know, when you don't warm up properly and you don't have the time to warm up. And you know, they certainly did have enough time to warm up, but they chose not to. And then in these conditions as well, it's a hard field. I walked across there. you know, it's very, very hard underfoot, and you know, we'll probably see a few more.
10-0, the midway points in the first half. Toronto looking to make it 11 out of 11 as they continue their seemingly unstoppable charge towards the championship next year. And, you know, when you reflect on how far they've come in such a short time, building a team and a club and a name and a stadium and the support back in Canada, it's been a remarkable few months, hasn't it?
That certainly has. You know, the journey's only just started, and you know, they've got a lot of vision from owners, and they seem to get a lot of good support over there, and you know, they've got a very good squad that they've put together, and I'm sure that they'll do very well in the next level as well.
On the last, leading 10-0, the Wolfpack hunting down a third try as Briley puts up a high kick, and in the end it's a good take by young Muse. He was under pressure, but he's going to get pulled back behind his own try line, and then he's let the ball go, and Craig Hall has scored. Well, a try out of absolutely nothing. The mistake, you have to say, from the Workington youngster who dropped the ball, and Craig Hall, the captain, Johnny on the spot with the try. Dave Woods.
Yeah, he was. The ball was put up. It was very, very high. Both players, Muse and well, I think it was for the...
It was Fell. Fullback, yeah.
Both going up for the ball. Muse came down with it and then was picked up by 3 of the Toronto players and pushed back. The Workington players weren't overly happy. They thought he was contested in the air, but he certainly wasn't. It was just very good work. Fell tried to take the ball off him. Fell tried to help him and take the ball out of the back and drop the ball, and that caused to spill out, and then it was just an easy 4-pointer for Hall.
Yeah, a mistake, you have to say, from Kieran Muse, who took the initial kick really, really well, but then lost track of the ball, and Craig Hall turns his try into 6 with his second goal, and it's 16-0. Here we go. The kick goes up for Briley. Muse initially takes it really, really well. Pushed back. Do you know what? I think
his own play. It was Fell tried.
It was actually
Fell tried because he was being pushed back.
Ball,
yeah, Fell tried to help him and take the ball off him, and it spilled out, and Hall only had to dive on it. It'll be the easiest 4-pointer he gets this year.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a catalogue of errors, you have to say, from Workington, because it was his own player, Gabriel Fell, the young Wiganer, the fullback, who ripped the ball out of Kieran Muse's hands, allowing Craig Hall to pounce on it for the try. So 16-0 and a gift. You have to say a gift. Here's QLT for the Wolfpack. Just got to hang on in there at Workington for the remaining, 17 minutes of this first half. Town kept themselves very much in the playoff hunt a week ago, but Briley trying to set QLT away. Good tackle again from Mossop for Workington. Powell will quick play the ball, and Phillips can't keep hold of him. Powell's still going. On the last, Penkovic at dummy half. He will find Ryan Briley, another high, hanging, teasing kick, and the mistake this time from Fell, but the referee will say it's a penalty. A penalty Toronto. I think
didn't they play on?
Yeah, well, I don't know. What happened was that he gave a penalty, I think, for obstruction on an attacking player as he was coming in. But Dave Woods makes a very good point. Toronto had the advantage. Why didn't he play on?
I think he blew it too early. It wasn't anything bad about the late tackle from Stosek, but there was a spilt ball out the back there, and Toronto picked the ball up and were going to score, and he blew the whistle for the penalty.
Well, that should have been play on. That should have been a try. Yeah, I tend to agree with you there, Dave. Blew too early. Advantage. Should have been advantage. It should have been a try. Well, they've got another penalty this time for interference at the play of the ball. Showstack, the guilty party.
Big Fooey's on.
Tale about the substitute, Alex Showstack. We'll tell you that in a little moment. Here he is! Fooey, moi, moi. We love to see Moi Moi on the field, and he was charging towards the post, but here come the Wolfpack again as Briley finds Hall, and Hall will go in for his second try. So they do get the try, they get their fourth try. Ryan Briley, the architect, and Craig Hall with the try. So Craig Hall, 2 tries for him, 4 tries now for the Wolfpack, and they're out to 20 points to nil.
Well, there was a good pass from the dummy half Bezic there out to Briley, and he just threw a great cut-out ball to Hall. Doran got up really quick to try and put him off, but his good footwork just beat him easily, and he ran around for the 4-pointer, and he's lining up the kick from probably just a little bit wider than the one he just took a minute ago.
Well, let me just tell you about Alex Shostak. Working to substitute Alex Shostak. Now, he is going to have to leave, we understand, leave the game, leave the stadium very, very soon to go on a night shift. He works at the local Sellafield nuclear plant, and that's a great kick off the touchline from Craig Hall to extend the lead to 22 points to nil for the Wolfpack. But Alex Shostak, as all the Workington Town players, they're part-timers, they have jobs. And
just about most of the, or a lot of the Workington players, as well as the Whitehaven players, work at Sellafield, and you know, they do shift work there. I'm not sure. I think he's in the police there, but he's, you know, it's a very, very tough job there, and they all have to do their bit. Good kick-off from the Workington side there. Duran found touch. The Toronto side have let the ball bounce, and it's gone straight over the sideline for a scrum feed to Workington, 15 metres out.
Good kick-off there by Jamie Doran. Interesting tale, played a couple of games for Wigan. For a long time he came through the ranks at Wigan, but didn't quite make it, did he?
We kept an eye on him a couple of years ago. He was playing some absolutely great footy at Wigan, and he elected to come out here. He is from out this way, and he came to Workington, and he has been playing some real good footy.
Yeah, good half-back partnership, Duran and Carl Forber for Workington. With ball in hand, let's see what they can do with it as Joseph charges forward, and
it's a tough run to make.
There with
tough
Ryan
run to
Bailey.
make into Bailey and Fui Moi Moi.
Brave man. 22-0. Toronto lead. Workington looking to put points on the board. Howarth and Forber, and Doran puts the kick through, and good defence. Goal line dropout. QLT to the rescue.
He's doing some stretches now. He's got a bit of a leg problem. He obviously hasn't warmed up properly either. He's grabbing at a left leg there.
If you are just joining us, scheduled 3 o'clock kickoff, but because of a closure to the M6 motorway, several players and the referee were stuck on the motorway in traffic. Originally put back to 3:30, then to 4:30, then to 5 to 5 UK time, and eventually we kicked off at 20 past 5, and I'm sure there will be an investigation into the circumstances of why the game was delayed 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's for the future. In the present, Toronto in control, leading 22 points to nil, and very dangerous every time they get ball in hand, really. Workington have huffed and puffed, and they've given it a go, but they just don't seem to have that strike to trouble Toronto at the moment. Mossop at dummy half. Does well. The captain. Brought down on the 20. Eventually gets up and plays the ball. Howarth finds Doran. And here is Forber. Forber looking for a way through. Now, did that come off a Workington hand? Was it off Forber, or did it come off a Toronto player? Referee will say scrum down. Wolfpack ball. So reaching the half-hour mark here at Derwent Park. Lovely, bright sunshine, evening sunshine. The Wolfpack leading 22-0.
Yeah, they've defended everything very, very well that's been thrown at them. You can't knock them for that. They really have worked hard in defence. It's very, very hot out there, as you said. A lot of the players going down wanting some extra water, and it's a wonder they didn't ask for a drink break after 20. But I don't think we could have done that. We'd be here till midnight. But look, Workington, they just don't have that cutting edge that the Toronto have. Toronto, they're really marking up man on man, and they're sliding and getting off players very, very well. And that's very easy to defend when the Workington side are throwing at them.
The voice of Dave Woods, our special guest summariser here at Derwent Park this afternoon. 3-time grand final winning coach with Castleford Tigers. Helped get Castleford into Super League, of course. The Tigers are out of the Challenge Cup, beaten by Hull SC in a thriller today. The Super League leaders, all their eggs are in the grand final basket for the rest of the season. All the focus for the Toronto Wolfpack will be on promotion to the championship. Lovely offload there, and Penkovic tried to find a way through, but it was picked off. But well read, you have to say, by Fitzsimmons for Workington. And another attack is thwarted. 9 minutes to half-time.
Joseph with a leg injury there.
Yeah. At this rate, you and I will be on.
Too hot for me.
Too fast for me. Howarth at dummy half. Good drive by Shostak. Well, he's still on the field, Alex Shostak. Perhaps he's rung his supervisor and asked for special dispensation if he can come into work an hour late. We'll perhaps find out at half-time. Howarth, great ball for Muse. Well, I think he had to kick it in the end. You don't see that very often. Richard Whiting showing his football skills. Muse initially was going to run out into touch. That's why he had to kick the ball forward. Let's have a look at this. Howarth with the pass. And muted well because he was going to be tackled into touch. Ball kicked forward, and it was headed away by Richard Whiting. I think it was headed well over the bar, though. Stick to rugby, old son.
That was a good little head ball out to the last drop out that Hall did. It went 60 metres on the fly. That one's not as good, but it's still down to the 60-metre mark for, but it's bounced off his head now, and he's just passed. Oh, that's a high tackle from Fui.
That's a high one from Fui Moimoi. To be fair, I don't think there was any intent in there. It wasn't malicious. It was just a high arm.
It was Shostak too. He may not have got to work, but there was nothing intentional in it. Just it was a lazy arm from Fui, and penalty to the Workington side on halfway now.
Yeah, good refereeing as well. It was a penalty, and that was about it. No need for any more action. Yeah, and Phil Joseph is leaving the field, putting a real stint for Workington Town. Joseph. Here they come again. I'll tell you what, Dave. They've had a lot of possession, haven't they? We've seen Workington with a lot of ball and great run from Phillips for the home side. They just haven't had that final play to crack the Wolfpack defensive line. And look, they may hear charging run by Fitzsimmons for Workington, 2 yards away from that try line. Here is Doran. Can they find a way through? They deserve a score. They deserve a try, and they've got a penalty as well. High tackle given against, I think it was Jake Emmett on Doran there. So another set right on the Wolfpack line. Can they get points on the board? They've given a real go, I have to say, but in the same token, you've got to praise the defensive effort so far of the Wolfpack. Howarth, that's a poor pass. Picked up on the bounce by Fell, the fullback for Workington. Right in front of the post. Will the pressure pay? Will they turn the pressure into points? Forber all wrapped up. Well read by Greg Worthington for the Wolfpack. Still Town come. Go to the short side. Rock involved. Well, what a penalty, the home fans. They're saying that the Wolfpack are all offside, but play on, says the referee. And that Forber it was. What a good tackle. What a cracking tackle. Forber got the lucky deflection, but excellent tackle. Deft defending. And It was Crossley, wasn't it, with a tackle on Forber to stop the certain try. Here is Forber again. Pressure building. But you have to say, magnificent defence from the Wolfpack so far. Again, they go the short side. Howarth involved. No way through for Carl Forber. So much pressure that Workington have had. This could be a try, though. This could be a try. And finally, they're on the ball. Gordon Maudling gets the try for Workington. The try they desperately deserve. Maudling off the bench gets the first try of the afternoon for Workington. It had been coming, and it's very much deserved.
Yeah, well, it was their third set of 6 on the line, and they did deserve it. You know, they've tried to throw some things at him, and it was just a neat little pass. Howarth just jumped out of dummy half, held up the marker, and there was a big gap out wide, and Maudling just found himself in the hole, not touched, 4-pointer, but third set of 6 on their line, and they had defended quite well up until then. They seem to have an extra number out there. They just really cutting down everything that the Workington side do. Out wide, they're pushing up really hard. Both centres on either side are in Hall and Worthington are shooting up and in and cutting the play down, forcing them back in the middle, and they're doing a real good job defensively. But that 4 points come at a good time for Workington because they have thrown a lot of things at them.
Just to bring you up to date with Phil Joseph, who left the field for Workington a few moments ago. He's having his hamstring massaged to see if he can continue. And here is Carl Forber for Workington. Good kick, and that is 100 points for the season for Carl Forber. And there is the try scorer, Maudling. It was Howarth, he did well, didn't he? A gap appeared, but he just held the pass up ever so slightly. And 22-6 it is in favour of Toronto. Always big favourites. You would always think that the Wolfpack would win this game, barring any miracles, you should say, sporting miracles from Workington, the full-timers against the part-timers. But I have to say, I'm impressed with the shift that Workington have put in.
Yeah, look, Workington, they, especially here at home, they always dig in deep. They always rip in for each other. They've got Forber, who's a very experienced campaigner and a very good footballer. They've got a lot of young blokes that are coming through. It's a shame Hambley left early. He's come out of the academy from here and a very good player. And, you know, they have done a good job. But, you know, you're right. Toronto should come here. Toronto should win the game quite easily. And you know, they're showing that with the ball in hand. And defensively, they are really working hard. The next step is that they need to make sure that discipline is spot on, because that's their only problem. And when they come up with against good sides and sides that are fighting for top finishes, and in the next league, that'll really come into play.
Durham, little inside ball for Fell, the fullback. Two former Wigan players, Fell and Durham, as we mentioned. Howarth. Joe Ryan, who's on loan from Warrington. Joe Ryan, Durham with a kick downfield. Well, that came off Hall, and Hall will chase this, and so will Ryan Briley. If it doesn't bounce out, and it does just bounce out of touch, well, that would have been a try if Ryan Briley had managed to get hold of it, but the ball just bouncing into touch. And Workington will get the ball back. It was just by an inch, wasn't it? It was Hall who charged it down, so he was quite within the rules to kick it forward. And here we go. Ball just touches the whitewash before Briley managed to swipe it back inside. So a scrum down Workington's head and feed. Last minute or so of the first half. But that's what we've talked about throughout the game, that from nowhere, Toronto can find a way, can't they?
Yeah, they can. You know, and look, there was a kick through from Workington, Duran, and it hit, well, Hall just turned around and hit the back of him, and he was smart enough just to tell Whiting to get out of the road, because Whiting was in an offside position, and he pushed him away and then kicked the ball forward. It was just an unlucky bounce, and, you know, that went out. So they could have been in for another 4, but it wasn't to be. Workington now have got the ball, and they'll be able to bring it off their line.
Closing stages of the half. The latest man being treated, Jake Emmett. Phil Joseph, who's had his right hamstring heavily strapped, but he's a real rugby warrior, Phil Joseph. You would call him a rugby league journeyman, but perhaps that's being disrespectful. This is his 10th club, a 14-year career, as we mentioned, plenty of experience in Super League, and quite a coup for Workington to get him.
Certainly was, and it'll be plenty of tape on that thigh, because that thigh is huge.
Yeah, great player. A real rugby league man, isn't he? A player's player, you would say, Phil Joseph. Wolfpack all offside in the closing stages of the half. Maybe an opportunity for Workington to get another score on the board. That would certainly make it interesting if Town can find a way to get another try.
It is only a short 10 that he's keeping the Toronto side back as well, so you know that's sort of playing into their hands a little bit, because it doesn't allow Workington to play a little bit with the ball, but you know, they can't keep giving away these penalties.
Howarth and Doran. Forber tried to offload the ball, but just trying to over-complicate things there. Forber probably would have been better keeping hold of it, but a mistake and another mistake. An error from Forber, then a penalty given away by Forber, and then all of a sudden it changes, doesn't it, in Toronto's favour. Time added on at the end of this first half. Thoroughly enjoyable. Danger here, you would think, for Workington.
Yeah, Toronto will be looking to put some more points on the board with not long to go before half-time. They'll want another try here.
It'd be interesting to actually get the official stats as to ball possession, but I would say actual ball in hand, it's possibly 60-40 in Workington's favour. But when the Wolfpack have had the ball, they've looked dangerous, and every time that they've been down this end of the field and knocking on the door and threatening that try line, they've looked like scoring. Fui Moi charges through. 15 yards out, right in front of the Workington post, and another penalty. Craig Hall, the captain, just asking his coach whether they should go for two or whether they should carry on and go for the try. It looks like they're going to carry on. Yeah, quick tap by Bob Bezic. Too quick, says the referee. 22 points to 6. Bezic with the tap. Charge forward from Dan Fleming. Stop inches away from the try line. Bezic. Now they've got numbers out here, but they won't need them. Lovely show and go, and a dummy from Ryan Briley. You just knew it. Ryan Briley scores tries for fun, and Briley has now scored in 7 consecutive games since he joined the Toronto Wolfpack. 10 tries in 7 games for Ryan Briley. That's what he does. Little sidestep, little bit of magic, and a crucial try on the stroke of half-time.
Well, it was, and he had two big men. He had Fui Moi just charging in the middle of the field, and he dragged a couple of defenders in, and the B defender, the second defender off the ruck from the Workington side, didn't react quick enough, exposed Phillips to be a little bit too wide, and because he was so wide, Brealey just stepped back on the inside and beat him very easily. So their defenders just around that middle of the ruck just weren't good enough there.
Yeah, on the stroke of half-time as well. Craig Hall with the extras, and it's 28 points to 6 in favour of Toronto. Everyone taking on board water before half-time. It was a lovely dummy, and probably 5 out of 10 for the celebration, Ryan, but that's being harsh.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of them, but he got the 4-pointer, job done for him, and his name's on that score sheet yet again in another game for the Wolfpack.
Good teasing kick-off, but there is the hooter. It was the last act of the first half. Ryan Briley with the try for the Wolfpack. 5 tries to 1 in the first half. for Toronto. I have to say, they look really, really good with ball in hand. A scoreline for me, perhaps a touch harsh on Workington.
Yeah, it is. You know, Workington have tried very, very hard. They've worked really well for each other. Toronto, they look like they've had an extra man in defence. They've defended very well. Their line speed's still good back into the game. You know, their attack is just so lethal, and you know, they've got players from all across the park that can attack from anywhere on the field, and that's what they do, and they do that very well.
Is of the regular season. But in the here and now, the Wolfpack lead by 28 points to 6. They're about to get the second half underway. I suppose the question is, can Toronto keep up their average of 60 points a game?
Well, you know, I'm sure Paul Riley would have addressed that, and he would have said, we're leading 28-6. We need to make sure that we come off the field not conceding any more points, and let's double our points. They've set the game up for that, so they need to make sure they carry that on. If they don't add a lot of points in this half, they haven't really done their job and finished the game off.
I suppose the ultimate aim, of course, is Toronto want to be playing in Super League in 3 years' time, don't they?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what they're building, and that's the statements they're making, just trying to sign, you know, players of Sims and Macrone's calibre. That's to build for the future, and it's to bring some of the younger players that are over there playing the game through the system, and make sure that they've got competitiveness within the squad.
Massive interest for the sport in Toronto.
Let's face it, mate. It's you know, if you watch the game,
it's a huge sporting
hard.
city, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not hard to like the game of rugby league. You know, you just have to watch it. Watch blokes like this Fui Moi, the way he carries the ball, the way he makes contact. It's not hard to fall in love with it. Toronto, great sporting country, and really get behind what goes on there.
Well, 4 games to come at the Lamport Stadium here at Derwent Park. The Wolfpack looking for the perfect start to the second half, but the knock-on from Whiting, it was Briley's pass. Whiting dropped the ball. It looked like a gap open for him as well, Richard Whiting. I think that might have been a try if he managed to get hold of it. Let's have another look. Briley, and, well, yeah, I think he would have had the legs to get to the line.
Well, he would have, but Briley could have went through himself. Mossop saw Briley looking to pass out wide to Whiting and went off the line, went off the player Briley, knowing that he was going to pass, and it opened up big for him, so he could have easily gone through.
Well, you may have heard us mention the Wakefield, the Workington player, I should say, Alex Showstack in the first half. He works at the Sellafield plant, not so long from here. He's on a night shift. He has now left the ground. He's had to go to work. What a story that is. Because of all the delays, if you are just with us, watching this game between Workington and Toronto, 3 o'clock kickoff, put back to 3:30 after an accident on the M6 motorway leading up to Cumbria, then to 4:30, then to 5:05. Eventually we got underway at 5:20, which is no good for Workington and for Showstack. He's had to go to work. He's off on the night shift. Kick downfield, and across comes QLT to take that. Interestingly, QLT looks to be slotting in at full back at the start of the second half.
Yeah, it looked like he was back there then, and but that was a good little kick from Howarth out of dummy half, and it was a great chase from the Workington team.
28 points to 6, early stages of the second half. Toronto lost their Canadian international Rhys Jacks, injured with a hamstring problem in the first half, and likely to come back on. Here is Dan Fleming for the Wolfpack. Bezic at dummy half, and Emmett will try and find a way through. Good defence from Fitzsimmons, but a lovely offload, and here they come again. Bezic downfield, has support inside him, and that will be a terrific Toronto try. Jack Bussey it is who goes over to score, and fitting, I suppose, that Bussey should score. Bezic with a marvellous break. We talked about this is what Bezic can do. He flicks the switch on, and he did there, and Jack Bussey with the try, and what a lovely moment for Bussey, who was diagnosed not so long ago with thyroid cancer, has had treatment, successful treatment. He's been given the all clear, passionate about his rugby league, and he comes up with a try.
Well, he's a great young kid, Jack Bussey. I coached him in an England squad a few years ago, and real good kid, real good attitude, good talent, and deserves all the accolades that are coming his way at the moment. But you go back to the big forwards there. I think it was Emmett who carried the ball forward, and it was a great little offload. And Bezic, as a good hooker does, follows up, carries the ball forward, and Bussy just on his inside hip. There was a draw and pass, and he carried Forber over the try line. So real good footy from the Toronto side. They look like they really picked up the pace of the game a little bit. And Workington, they are going to do it tough, especially with Stosek having to leave. So they're down 2 players on the bench because if you remember, Hamley's injured. So 2 players on the bench. It will be a tough afternoon for him now.
Yeah, Joe Hambley went off in the first half. 10 tries this season for Hambley, one of their strike players. He went off in the first half, 15 minutes in with a groin problem. Very moi. Always likely that something will happen when Fui moi has the ball. So 34 points to 6. The Wolfpack dominating. It's been a brave, battling performance so far from Workington Town, and I'm sure that their coach Dave Clark will be pretty pleased with the way that they've played. Out on the far side, QLT trying to find a way through, but there's a late challenge in there, and the referee giving the Wolfpack another penalty. That's 3 penalties that the Wolfpack have had at the start of the second half, indicating there was a late hit, a shoulder charge, a shoulder in on Richard Whiting.
Yeah, Mossop there came in and tried to close the play down, was just a little bit late, got the player Whiting and took him to ground. Penalty for the Toronto Wolfpack. They've now found touch and they'll attack again from about 40 metres out.
I suppose this was always the danger for Workington at the start of the second half. Here's QLT, good hands for Hall looking for a way through on a hat-trick. Craig Hall, the Toronto captain. Crossley. Again, knocking on that Workington door. Here is Bob Bezic and Briley again. That's a great pass out. This looked like being another try, and it will be for Greg Worthington. Hat-trick for Worthington last weekend, and his second try here, and back-to-back tries, 2 in quick succession for the Wolfpack, and they extend their lead.
Well, he doesn't need an invitation to score tries, Worthington. He's a very good footballer. He was great at Featherstone. He's getting better and better as he goes. And again, they had plenty of players pushing through, plenty of numbers pushing up off the ball. And this was a neat little pass, cut out ball, out wide to Worthington. And just beat the Workington Town very, very easily there to score the points.
I'll tell you what, Greg Worthington will be one of several players that Super League teams will be keeping an eye on here, because, they're a top professional outfit, the Toronto Wolfpack, and that there's no doubt. And they look nailed on to be heading for the championship next year. But with all the media coverage and television coverage that the Wolfpack are getting, a lot of their players will be in the shop window, as Craig Hall with another fantastic kick, and he maintains his average of 20 points a game. That is 20 points in this game for Craig Hall. But I just wonder how many Super League clubs will be monitoring some of the Wolfpack players closely.
Well, I'm sure there will be quite a few, and Worthington's one. As I said, he was playing at Featherstone a few years ago and was outstanding. He's a real quick player. He's a real tough centre. There's not a lot of him. He's tall, but he's rangy and thin, but he is very, very tough, can defend very well, and like I said, he scores tries for fun, and there will be plenty of clubs looking at him.
Well, a mistake, a rare mistake. Jack Bussey, the guilty man. I think he needs football lessons.
We gave him a big rap before, saying how good he's been going, and he lets us down badly there.
Yeah, but I think we can praise his rugby skills, certainly not his football skills. Oh dear. It'll relieve the pressure on Workington, give them a chance with ball in hand to put some pressure on the Wolfpack defence. Breach just one so far. That try 5 minutes before half-time for Town, scored by Gordon Maudling. son of Wigan, former Wigan star Adrian Shelford. He is missing after suffering an ankle injury in training. So 2 key players for Town missing this afternoon. Here they come with Forber and maudling the try scorer. Looking for their second score of the afternoon. Howarth at dummy half, and Forber, the chance for the line, and the try. Great try from Perry Singleton. Second score for Workington this afternoon. It all came from the effort, the mistake from Jack Bussey, and Perry Singleton, brother of Brad, who plays at the Leeds Rhinos. Thumbs up. Try for Workington.
Yeah, good try from him there. You know, Forber went out to the open side and then quickly ran back around to the short side. Obviously saw some numbers that they had there, and Howarth jumped out of dummy half, drew the marker in, picked up Forber, and it was a great little short ball just to pick the big fella Singleton up, and he planted it down for 4 points there, and it was a good try for the Workington team.
Yeah, just say brother of Brad, who plays with the Leeds Rhinos, Perry Singleton. So Carl Forber will try and add the extras. Entertaining game. Still very warm, isn't it? The evening sunshine here in Cumbria. That will have an effect, I reckon, in the last 20 minutes.
Oh, it certainly will, and especially with them only having 2 subs, their big men are going to have to play longer games. And actually, we may think it may be that they're down to 1 sub because Phil Joseph is injured as well.
Yep, Joseph injured. Hambley injured.
And Stossack gone to work, so they're down to 1 sub.
That's right. Get your boots on, Dave. Forber from the sidelines. That looks a beauty, and it is. So 40 points to 12, a deserved score for Workington Town. There's the try scorer, Perry Singleton. Have another look at it. Howarth it was. Forber with the short pass and perfectly timed run on the angle from Perry Singleton. Yeah, our special guest on Premier Sports this afternoon, Dave Woods, former coach at Castleford and York and Gateshead and Whitehaven. I'm hoping you're missing it, aren't you? You want to get back in?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to be back coaching again. You know, just especially when you come and do this sort of thing. You know, I love the commentary side of things, but you just, you know, you see what happens out there and you think, why are they doing that? And you really do want to get involved of it. And you know, I would love to be back coaching again.
Well, there you go. There's the job advert from Dave Woods. I'm sure we'll see him back in the game very shortly. You have a good track record.
Yeah, look, I've enjoyed my time over here. It's been great. I've worked really hard on my coaching and we've got some good results. I've had some good squads, and you know, the players have all worked hard that I've had, and you know, you reap the rewards from what you put in. So it's been really good.
Giving it a go, Workington Town. Good little chip over the top there. Knock on, the mistake from the Wolfpack, and another opportunity maybe for Workington to put points on the board. 40 points to 12. I can't stress highly enough how impressed I've been with Workington. If they play like this for the remainder of the season, the remaining fixtures: Coventry away, London Scholars and Keighley at home here at Derwent Park, and they're a tough one to finish off with away at the York City Knights. But I reckon they'll deserve a place in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the problem with Workington, they play really well against the big sides, the tough sides, and they don't travel very well. They let themselves down a little bit when they do play the so-called weaker sides. If they keep this consistency up, they certainly will do well, because they have played some real good footy today.
That came off a Toronto hand. I think it came off the hand of Crossley. So the referee, Greg Dolan, wipes the tackle count clean, and oh well, that could be play on. It is play on because it came off Crossley. It was a free play. Play on, says the referee, and he'll give a knock on. Well, with that scrum down, surely Workington's head and feed. Let's see what the referee does here. Some great. Well, he's given it to Toronto. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, no,
I have to say that you get a free play because it came off a Toronto player. And I think that possibly should have been a scrum down Workington's head and feed.
Yeah, it's a poor decision from him there. he got the call right. It was great work from Singleton, threw the ball back in on the inside, and the Workington player kicked it through, and he didn't knock it on anyway. So it was Toronto that knocked the ball forward. So I don't know why he's pulled that one back. It should have been play on, 6 tackles to the Workington team, but Toronto now got the ball, bringing it out of backfield.
Made a few good decisions as well, a lot of good decisions, Greg Dolan, this afternoon, the young referee. "15 minutes on the clock in the second half. Kick-off here delayed by 2 hours and 20 minutes. But we've enjoyed it. We eventually got underway. Ryan Bailey back on the field for the Wolfpack. Oh, charging run from Crossley. He's got support either side. Crossley, which way will he go? Well, in the end, he went nowhere. He had Bussey one side, and he had Pownall the other. But still, numbers you would feel for the Wolfpack. An interference at the play. The ball fell at Mossop. It's a penalty in front of the post. I think Crossley there couldn't believe that he had all that space. He got caught in 2 minds.
Well, he wasn't going to run the length, was he? He got ran down pretty quick, but he had Bussey on his outside, and then he had another support player on the inside, but he was covered, so he should have went to Bussey there.
Bailey stopped on the line. Bezic, they come to the left-hand side, and Bussey for the QLT, looking for another try. The enigmatic QLT. And again, interference at the play of the ball. To go guy, to give him his real name. Of course, Quentin, to go guy. The to-go guy there is Ryan Bailey. Has he managed to get over? Just stopped short. Well, again, very mucky, very messy at the play the ball. And in the end, the mistake from Bailey. Oh, he's annoyed. Slams the ball down. I think it's a good job that the referee didn't see that, actually, because I think if he'd seen that, he may have awarded a penalty to Workington, who's got an injury. Stuart Howarth down right in front of the post. But temper, Ryan Bailey. Let's have a look at this.
Well, it tempers from or starts from the play very, very early in the first half when he pushed Howarth after Howarth made an error, and a minute ago when Howarth tackled him, he really got into him and niggled him a little bit, and it was Howarth on the ground there, and Ryan Bailey believes he should have got a penalty for that, and tried playing the ball into him, and it didn't work for him. It was ruled that he knocked on. Scrum feed to Workington.
40 points to 12. Toronto in front. Scrum down, Workington head and feed. It's the last away game for the Wolfpack of this regular season, and winning it in style. Does well, Scott Rook from dummy half. Howarth looking for Maudling. It's going to be tough on Workington, as you say. We're not far short of the hour mark, around 20 minutes or so to go, and down to one substitute with injuries to Hambley and Joseph, and poor Alex Shostak having to leave the game to go to work because of the delayed kick-off. Doran with a kick downfield, lovely kick from Doran.
Yeah, that's a great kick. That'll be a 40-20, I think.
Is that a 40-20? It is. Fabulous kick there from Jamie Doran. A 40-20 kick. And they're rewarded with possession close to the try line. Doran takes the quick tap.
And Toronto weren't aware about that quick tap. They thought it was going to be a scrum.
Because the rule has changed. Last year, a 40-20 resulted in a scrum with head and feed to the side that kicked the 40-20. This season, the reward is just a tap for the 40-20. And will the reward for that great kick from Doran be a third try for Workington? We shall see, approaching the hour mark. Here is Doran. Little kick through there by Fell. The chase for Rook. Has he got the ball down? No, he bounced gets it behind the line. Well, that's a great opportunity there for Scott Rook. The referee, right on the spot, Greg Dolan, rules out the try.
Yeah, well, he said that it went forward, or he knocked it on over the in-goal area. He's brought it back for a 20-metre restart for Toronto, but it was a neat little play from the Workington team, and I don't know, I didn't think they should have kicked so early, but it was a good kick in the end, and you can see Rook coming down now. Oh, he's knocked on. He hasn't grounded it.
Good decision.
Unfortunately for them.
Good decision again from the ref. Hall. It was quite a career gamble, wasn't it? You would think for Craig Hall to come to the Toronto Wolfpack. He could see what lies ahead in the future for this club, I'm sure, as many of the players who have signed for the Wolfpack. Quick play the ball, Bob Bezic has support from Pownell. Brought down, close again to that Workington try line. This is the last. Bezic looks for Crossley. Can he find a way over? He had the ball taken away from him. Maudling it is who kicks it away in frustration. On the last, stolen in the tackle by Maudling. Gordon Maudling.
Joe Ryan down with a knee injury now as well. It was a good work. It was a great carry forward from Crossley, and two in the tackle. Stole the ball. So, unfortunately, penalised. Two new subs, Fui, Moi, and Jake Emmett coming on for the Toronto side, and Joe Ryan down in a little bit of discomfort there with looks like an ankle injury.
Yeah, right ankle. On loan from Warrington. They signed both Ryan from Warrington and Liam Byrne. Liam Byrne missing. He was signed on loan from Wigan. Both made impressive debuts for Workington in their 25 points to 24 win against the North Wales Crusaders. And there you go. His ankle going right underneath him as he made the tackle on Pownell. That must hurt, must hurt.
He's up.
Looks like does it.
He is struggling to put any weight on that foot.
Yeah, it was nasty, nasty. Carl Forber's late drop goal giving Town the win against the Crusaders last weekend. They came from 18-0 down, by the way, after 15 minutes to win that game. But this injury to Ryan effectively means that they're going to have to play the last 20 minutes is what they've got. They have no substitutes left. Hambley injured, Joseph injured, Ryan injured, Shostak has gone to work. Big ask for Workington from here on in.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially in these conditions. It's very, very hot, so these conditions.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Ryan to be helped from the field, but yeah, it looked nasty, didn't it? As he made that tackle on Pownell, his right ankle just got caught underneath. So it's going to be a tough old 20 minutes for Workington Town. Dave Clark, the Workington coach, looking on. Here they come again. Oh, a mistake from Craig Hall. Not happy with himself, the Toronto captain. Let's have another look.
It was just a wide ball, and he juggled it, thought that he had it. I think it was Jamie Doran pushed up a little bit quicker on him and just put him under a little bit of pressure and come up with a knock-on tackle 2 there. So, you know, they won't be happy with that. I think that little bit of a disruption there, the break in play, just caused a little bit of upset amongst their attack, and just their fluency wasn't there.
Are Toronto, Barrow and Whitehaven way ahead of the rest in this division, Dave?
Look, I think they are. I think Barrow have been very steady for the last couple of years and have built a good squad. Whitehaven have got a good squad together this year and can play some really good footy. And, you know, obviously Toronto. There's a couple of the lower teams that They've got a lot of younger players that have just started at this level, which it's very, very difficult to play at this level, you know, but them three certainly are the standouts.
Doran going for another 40-20. No joy this time. Easy take for to-go guy, QLT. And we've got around about 18 minutes, I reckon. Good play from Whiting, another forward pass. Yeah, another forward pass.
The touch judge called that one. He was right in line with that ball.
He did. Good call.
I thought it was probably line ball, but he's ruled it forward.
There he is. So 40 points to 12. Toronto looking to maintain their average of 60 points a game. There's 2 tries to 1 in this second half. Bussey and Worthington for the Wolfpack and Singleton for Workington. Maudling, who scored Workington's first try in the first half. Muse at dummy half. Here's Forber. Great servant as well, Carl Forber here. Over 200 games for Workington in 7 years, spanning 2 different spells.
Yeah, always a danger man for Workington whenever you played against him when I coached Workington.
Good tap
Good
there.
work from the Workington
taps
team
on
now.
the far side maybe, ball inside. Great tap over the top there by Doran. Great skill. They're giving it a go, Workington, they really are. And here is Doran again, inside for Singleton. Perhaps didn't expect that. And then Toronto offside. Good play, good play. Here we go. It was Doran with the flick on. Yeah, lovely hands.
Phillips is another one. He's been a great servant here, you know, and it was always tough. Whenever you played against Workington with Phillips and his brother Callum, and then Forber, very, very good footballers.
Callum Phillips suspended at the moment. Brett Phillips is actually the poster boy of Scottish Rugby League, looking ahead to the World Cup later in the year. Doing a lot of publicity. Charge for the line from Kerwin for Workington. Can they score their third try? Doran. Well, a little kick through, but well, it was meant in the end. A good take. It was Fitzsimmons running through, but not the best of kicks, and an easy take for QLT.
One-on-one strip now too.
Yeah, he's lost the ball. In Rugby League, 2-on-1 is a penalty. But a 1-on-1, if you take the ball 1-on-1 in the tackle, that's legal, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great work there. And
Fitzsimmons.
He did a real good job. Stripped it 1-on-1. It was a poor kick from Doran with that, you know, early in the tackle count. It just shows they lack a little bit of composure and a little bit of attacking prowess that the Toronto side have. And just kicked too early. Wasn't a good kick, but a good 1-on-1 strip to get the ball back.
Maudling. Yeah, just sometimes you feel Toronto have lost their cool under pressure in this second half. Here is Doran, wide ball out for Fell, the fullback. Here is Phillips, the Scotland star, Brett Phillips. Steve McCormack, the Scotland coach, said he will be one of the first names on his team sheet come the World Cup in the autumn. High praise indeed. Now, was that late by Fui Moi Moi?
I think it was high, wasn't it?
Yeah. Another look
touch
at that.
Judge is on.
The touch judge is on. It was Fui Moi Moi who was coming through. And the touch judge is going to have a word here.
I don't know whether he connected, did he, or not?
Let's have I'm sure we can have another look at that. I think it was Howarth with the offload.
They mustn't like the fact that Howarth was late and causing the game to be put back. I think they're all into him at the moment, aren't they?
Stuart Howarth, after that incident on the motorway this morning, the last Workington Town player to arrive, Ryan Bailey it was, who was picked out by the referee.
Well, I thought it was Fui. It was Fui. Here we go now. I thought it was Fui that came through. It's Fui.
It was Fui Moi Moi. He got the wrong man. Ryan Bailey was innocent.
For once.
I'll let you say that to his face, not me. Chance for Workington again. Short ball for Maudling. Does he manage to get the ball down? No, he's knocked on. He's knocked on in the act of scoring, and a bit of afters as well. This time Ryan Bailey is involved, but Gordon Maudling was close for another try for Workington. All getting a little tasty.
Yeah, I think a little bit tasty. It looked like he was claiming the try, Maudling, but the referee was on the spot. Howe just steps out of dummy half again. Short little ball. He didn't have good grip of it, but it did look like he had it on his leg. I'd like to see that from a different angle and see, because he did look like he had it held against his leg, and he was claiming a try.
Well, not given. Here we go. Howarth with the short pass. It was the same combination. Yeah, difficult to see, but it's whether he was short of the line or not. But he may have been short of the line and the ball came out. 40 points to 12. Here is Fui Fui Moi Moi. Jake Emmett, fine tackle from Maudling. Ryan Bailey! You can hear what the Workington fans think of Mr. Bailey. Pantomime villain, but he won't mind.
I don't think it's only the Workington fans, though.
No, I think you're right. Real tough character. Great career. Trophy-laden career with the Leeds Rhinos, Ryan Bailey. And another Ryan Briley. Puts the ball into touch, and will have a scrum down 10 yards away from the Workington line with the home side head and feed.
They just looked a little bit lost there. They lost all composure, and you know, it was Bezic jumped down the short side and then realised there was no numbers there and had to come back to the open, and Brearley just kicked the ball into touch there, but they just lost their composure, lost that the way that they've been setting up their play. Workington now, another penalty for him. Just slow at the play of the ball, getting out of there, and the Toronto side just another penalty.
They've given away a succession of penalties. It's interesting, you know. You mentioned in the first half that the one weak link in the Toronto armour is their discipline.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it has been all year. You know, you go back to a game they played over in Toronto a few weeks ago. They gave away a lot of penalties. Well, they're getting one this time for a. Well, what's he called there?
I'm not sure.
Players run behind another player. It didn't look like that at first, but there's a penalty to the Toronto side now. They'll kick for touch, and I'm sure they'll be kicking inside and making it inside the 40-metre area.
Discipline will be key when it gets to the playoffs, and well, another forward pass, and this time Bob Bezic has a try disallowed. Frustration for the Wolfpack players, but it was called pretty early by the ref.
Yeah, not happy about it, the Toronto players. They're not happy at all, especially Emmett, who threw the pass, and it was going to be another 4-pointer. Again, it's one of those things where they've got Paul Rowley on camera now. I'm sure he's not going to be happy with the last probably 10 minutes of play. It's been a little bit scratchy from both sides, but he'll be worrying about what Toronto are doing here.
Yeah, we're into the last 10 minutes or so here. And it's going to be a convincing win, isn't it, for the Wolfpack? But marks out of 10?
Yeah, look, you got to give credit to Workington. They have really stuck it into the Toronto side and worked really hard for each other, especially with no men in the second half to come on and help them. But, when Toronto have done the good things, they've been very good and look very, very sharp. You look at their line speed, it's very, very good. So it makes it very hard for Workington to get out. So, I'd say you'd probably give them about a 6.5 maybe.
Well, just hold that thought. We'll be asking Dave to nominate his man of the match in the next 4 or 5 minutes. The man he thinks has made the big difference here today, so we'll let you have a think on that. Dave Woods with us on commentary here at Derwent Park this afternoon. Closing stages, Workington 12, Toronto 40, but Could have been another penalty for interference at the play of the ball there. Was Forber, little chip over the top. Good kick. I think in the end, Ryan Burrows had it covered, didn't he? But it'll be a scrum down. I just wonder in the last few minutes here, is everyone running out of steam?
Yeah, well, I think Workington would love that ball to go into touch. They can just walk to the scrum, get some trainers on with a little bit of water, and you know, some of these big forwards, they've been out there for quite a while now and working really hard, so they'll be struggling in this heat. But I'm sure Toronto, they'll probably be happy with the little bit of a break as well.
Yeah, just to reiterate, 4 home games on the spin for the Wolfpack at the Lamport Stadium coming up. Last 4 games of the regular season. Hunslet, York, the All Goals and the Hemel Stags, before we get into the Super 8s and the playoffs. But I mean, below par performance, you would possibly say, from Toronto today, but they're looking to spread their wings on the far side. That's a great tackle, another fantastic tackle. They've really given it a go, haven't they? Was that Mossop on the far side again for Workington? Yeah. The captain has put in a real stint, Jason Mossop. 10 years here in his testimonial year, and he has been one of Workington's standout performers.
Yeah, he has today. He's been very good today. But, you know, and they're the things that Paul Rowley won't be happy about. That was a scrum, you know, tackle 1. Yeah, they've tried to go wide rather than doing the hard yards, carrying it forward in the middle first, and unfortunately come up short and lose the ball. So they're the little things that they'll want to improve on.
Forber for Workington, slammed to the ground. Maudling been involved a lot again for Workington. Another penalty against Toronto. I wish I'd made a count of the penalties during this game. I probably in this second half, I would say 7, 8, 9 penalties conceded by the Wolfpack.
Yeah, and again, this is the problem with them. Their discipline, it needs to improve. They can't afford to keep giving away penalties.
Fitzsimmons done well for Workington in this second half. Howarth at dummy half, and Singleton looking for a second try. Howarth again prompting Forber as they go to the left-hand side. Doran and Mossop just can't get the ball out of the tackle. Phillips for Workington goes on his own, runs into Fui Moi Moi and Ryan Bailey. And Richard Whiting, and another penalty, offside, this time against JK. At least 10 penalties conceded in this second half.
Well, he's just pointed to his mouth as well, so they've obviously said something to him. So they're lucky that one of them don't get binned shortly.
Yep. Sin bin always an option for the referee. Maudling goes for the line. Has he managed to get over? Just stopped short. Howarth, Forber, Kerwin it was, and the ball's gone to ground. A fine tackle in the end coming from Richard Whiting, but they have 3 sets potentially there on the Wolfpack line, just couldn't do anything with it.
No, they could, and that was the line speed. You've got to credit the Toronto line speed there, getting up real quick, but I thought the ball went out the back. I thought he had it up high looking to try and offload, and it went out the back, but it may have come off the Toronto player before it did that. But, you know, that's the beauty of Toronto, the things that they can do to put you under the pressure that they are with the Workington team. They're getting up off the line really quickly, and they're making sure that, you know, if Workington are going to score, they need to work really hard to do that, and they need to execute their plays to the nth degree and make sure that everyone is running their role, their line properly.
Well, I reckon probably with stoppages, we've probably still got another 5 or 6 minutes. Just to remind you, the clock that you see on the graphics doesn't stop, so although it says that we've got a minute to go, we will have probably another 4 or 5 minutes after that for all the stoppages that we've had in the second half. It's Dave Clark. The Workington coach can be very proud of his side's effort, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll be, you know, especially as we've said already, they've had no players in this second half to come on and help out. And you know, they've put a couple of neat tries on and they've worked really hard. And they've restricted to the Toronto side to 40 points.
Good offload again from Sean Pick this time. And here comes Bussey through the middle. He has support from Bob Bezic. And desperate defending from Workington Town. Ryan Briley, numbers out wide, chance for Pownell, but again Mossop over there to make the tackle. Desperate defending from the home side. Fui Moi Moi charges towards the line. Has he managed to get over? Not quite. Well, ball comes out. This time the ball has gone down, but I think he was waiting. He played advantage there, the referee. The workers were offside at the play of the ball, and he definitely played advantage to see what happened to give Toronto a chance to score. Sean Penkovic it was. And finally, the Wolfpack win a penalty close to the Workington try line. Jake Emmett. We'll ask Dave Woods to nominate his man of the match in just a moment. Oh, Bezic goes on his own. That's a try. It's actually Penkovic straight from the play of the ball. And Sean Penkovic gets the third try of the second half for the Toronto Wolfpack. 44 points to 12. It had been coming against a tired-looking Workington defence. The try from Sean Penkovic, fairly routine.
Yeah, it was. He's very smart at dummy half that close to the line, and he just threw the big dummy there and then just went straight in behind the players and over for an easy 4-pointer under the post. So he gives Craig Hall an opportunity to add another 2 to his tally with a kick right in front of the post.
Yeah, and this will be 22 points for the game, and 232 points for Craig Hall in 11 matches this season. Phenomenal.
I think there'd be a lot of clubs that aren't scoring that many, isn't there? A lot of teams. So great effort from him, and you know, he's played very well again today and put himself about a little bit.
So closing stage is now 46 points to 12.
You know, there's still enough time now for the Toronto side to score some more tries. I think, you know, I think if you look at their players, their team, I think there's been quite a few of them that have had a good stint. Both of their centres, Worthington and Hall on the other side, have scored some tries, and some of them have been quite easy for them. And Jack Bussey up in the middle of the park. Bussey's been very, very good up the middle of the park. But I just think, for mine, I think the bloke that's really controlled him, he's defended very well. He's really organised them around the ruck. And I think Bob Bezic's been very, very good tonight for the Toronto team.
There he is, Dave Woods, man of the match. Bob Bezic for the Wolfpack. Here comes Penkovic. Ball out the back door for QLT, and Ryan Briley. Briley will have the legs to score another try. 2 tries now for Ryan Briley. Well, as soon as he got the ball, you knew it was going to be another try for the Wolfpack. Ryan Briley with his second, and it's now 11 in 7 games for Briley since he joined the Wolfpack.
And that brings the 50 up for him. It was a neat little one-handed offload there in the middle of the park, and QLT then just carried the ball forward, threw it around the back to Briley, and you know, great little try for Briley. He had plenty of pace just to beat the fullback, fell quite easily in the end. But some good offloads from the Toronto side there. Some 50 points up on the board.
Harsh on Workington, but as Dave and I suggested, running out of steam. The last 20 minutes, they've had no one to put on as a replacement from the bench. With Phil Joseph, Joe Hambley and then Joe Ryan all going off with injuries, unable to come back on. A hamstring, a groin and an ankle injury. And then poor old Alex Shostak, who was on the replacement bench for Workington, had to leave the ground an hour ago to go to work, working the night shift at Sellafield, not so far away from here. And Craig Hall, lovely kick off the touchline, and that's 24 points for Craig Hall, and it's 52 points for the Toronto Wolfpack.
Yeah, look, when you can score 4 and you got a kicker like him that just lands them like that just for fun, you know, makes them 4s jump up to 6. It's very, very easy to build your score up high, and they've done that today.
Score flatter Toronto, do you think? A little, maybe?
I think just a little. You know, when they have played, they have certainly played very, very well. You know, you got to give them credit for that. But
yeah, I mean, ball in hand, the
Workington,
class above.
Yeah, definitely. But Workington really have got stuck into them and really made them earn it.
So another successful afternoon for Toronto. Not square at market. Another penalty for Toronto. Looking for a final try to finish with a flourish, the Wolfpack. Penkovic, who's been on the scoreboard, as has Ryan Briley. QLT, quick hands there too. Craig Hall. Hall, lovely offload there for Powell. Powell with the pace. Great play from Powell. Whoa, what a wonderful try to finish it off. They saved the best for last. Fantastic hands. Powell with another try. They scored 3 in 5 minutes. But wow, brilliant handling from Toronto. And that's the way to finish off a comprehensive victory. Fabulous try.
And there's the hooter in the background there to put it away for the Toronto side. But look, blokes like that, Powell out wide, very, very quick, stacks a pace, carry the ball back on the middle, beat about 4 or 5 just to plant the ball over. So another 2 points coming up for Craig Hall, right next to the post there, but a real good way to finish for the Toronto side.
Well, they're going to finish just shy of their 60 points a game average. Craig Hall's conversion will make it 58 points to 12. But that was a stunning try to round it all off. Thoroughly entertaining game. We may have been 2 hours and 20 minutes late kicking off, but it is 2 more points for the Toronto Wolfpack. It is 11 wins out of 11, confirming a 58 points to 12 victory over Workington Town. The home side didn't half give it a real dig, but class wins and class tells in the end, Dave Woods.
Yeah, it certainly did. And, you know, Workington, full credit to them. They did very, very well. Credit to the officials. They did a fair job there today.